Welcome to another corrupted Gauntlet guide. Redbeard here. It has been 1.5 years since release, and there was a couple of additions and tweaks, so onto the new one. Oh, by the way, hit the subscribe button, thank you. First and foremost, you need the Song of the Elves quest done to get inside the Elf City, because it is inside to the northwest, and for stats I recommend 85 plus combat minimum and 70 plus prayer. For efficient kills, the closer to 99 the better, and as for gear, you do not need a single thing. Inside you will find 6 normal creatures and all of them use melee. Myself, I always ignore the higher level ones since they chip into your seconds and are not worth it in my opinion. And for the demi bosses, there are 3 which drop their tier 3 weapon upgrade drop respective to their attacks as shown. The dragon uses mage and drops the orb for the stuff, and the same with the other 2 as shown. These 3 only spawn on the outer rooms and are made much easier in terms of spawning than before. Also, if you find for example 3 bears in a row, the first one will drop 100% melee upgrade, the second 50-50 chance between ranged or mage, and for example if you find mage, the third one will be ranged, due to an update, which is awesome. Now for resources, you need to slay the lower level creatures and get their materials needed for the Hunleff fight. These drop from every creature, the herb for the only potion, weapon frame for the first weapon, since the demi bosses now drop frames also, crystal shards needed for almost everything, and sometimes you will get food and occasionally a teleport crystal to the central room. And now for the armor, I highly recommend tier 1 armor because in later kills it chips into your profits. But if you're a hardcore Iron Man, go with higher tiers. For myself, I always go with tier 1 gear and tier 3 weapons. To make them you need 3 corrupted ore, 3 lineum wool and 3 frame barks, and 120 crystal shards. Fortunately, you only need 1 station of these resource areas if you're going with tier 1 gear, because they always give 3 materials, and for the shards, they are very common and are found by slaying creatures and also by gathering materials. To craft the armor, go to the starting room and use the singing bowl to make them. For food, there is paddlefish, which can be gathered by fishing these ponds. They always give 4 units and sometimes drop from creatures. Altogether, I recommend minimum 20 plus paddlefish for the Hunleff. When cooking them in the central room, you no longer need to spam click on the stove like before. They will be done very quickly thanks to an update by just 1 click. For the potion, you need in all 60 crystal shards and 3 grime herb. Do not worry, it is the only herb in the Gauntlet which can be found in the rooms on the floor and from creatures. I found that 3 are always enough. Once gathered, go to the central room, craft 3 vials from the bowl and then fill them at the water source. Then use herbwood vials, crush 30 shards and use the 30 dust with the potion and done. If you forgot to fill them at the central room, use the empty vials at an empty fishing source to fill them. Lastly, for weapons, choose whatever you prefer. Prior to an update, magic was very underwhelming, even with augury, but now it is on par with ranged and melee. I recommend when starting choose ranged and magic, because of the long range and the nature of the fight. But if you have lower stats, in any of the 3, choose whichever, both are the highest. As for the weapons tier 3, in total you need 180 crystal shards, 2 frames and 2 weapon parts from the demi bosses. When doing the Gauntlet, the most important item when preparing is the teleport crystal, which can be crafted for 40 shards. When leaving the starting area, it is paramount to have 1 in your inventory. The best to prepare I found is to break the gathering into 2 phases, which shall be shown. Now this is my method, and so far it has served me well for 1500 kills. Also a good tip is to start at the inner rooms around the starting area, not around the Hunleff room, because if you gather 230 crystal shards and you're near the starting area, You can just walk and you won't have to use the default teleport crystal that is given to you, saving precious time. Okay, let's get to it, slightly sped up. Okay, once everything is done and prepared, your gear and inventory should look like this. The Hunleff has two attack styles, which are magic and ranged. It does not have a melee attack, although if you walk under it, you would be stomped for massive damage, just like the corporeal beast. And its specials are two and are very straightforward. First, the magic-based purple attack, which turns off your prayer completely. This is done only during its magic rotations. The use of F keys during this fight is highly recommended, even a necessity if you're doing consistent kills. The final specials is the tornadoes, which spawn when the Hunleff slams onto the floor, and they show up from 2 to 4 depending on the Hunleaf's health. The lower its HP, the more they spawn. Now, for whatever reason, do not let them catch up to you, because they can instantly kill you. Just run away and avoid the lit floor tiles. If you're using Runelight, turn on the tile indicator plugin. It is super helpful. Now, as for the tile flares, they randomly switch throughout the fight. The lower the Hunleaf's health, the faster they switch. Lastly, the increments of the Hunleaf's mechanic are as follows. Once you walk in, it will start with ranged attack, which look like this, and once the 4 hits are done, it will switch the 4 increments of magic attacks as shown, and on it loops from range to mage. Yet for the specials, the purple based attack can only be done during its 4 normal magic hits, and it takes the place of one of the normal hits. As for the tornado's attack animation, it also takes over an attack from the 4 increments regardless if the Hunleff is using magic or ranged. Thankfully, due to an update, they also added this animation, which indicates it has switched from magic to ranged, or vice versa, which is incredibly helpful, unlike before. With the tier 1 gear, its max hit without prayer is 58, and with prayer it is 13. I will log every attack to show you how straightforward it is. Onto it. And that is it for this video. Do not forget to subscribe, comment, like and share. Thank you for watching. Happy escaping.